Pathetic earthlings. Who can save you now?
Rush! Savior of the universe! Strange object imaged in the Imperial Vortex.
All right, so I found this article kind of funny. So this is coming from Polygon, of course, and they decided to offer the best Spider-Man comics of all time. The greatest hits of a 60-year web of stories. And I was going to just ignore it until I looked through it, and it's literally kind of some hot garbage. Let's go through it. There's some good picks and some bad picks, but I think it's worth talking about. A lot of stories that they omitted and didn't even mention, which I found kind of funny. A lot of NPC stories, which really shouldn't be surprising considering it comes from Polygon, right? So let's take a look here. So right at the start, there's no top 10 here. It's just a list that they give. I'm just going to go through each one. The first one, Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man 308 through 309. They actually praise Chris Blanco's art here. I hate this art style. I don't think it fits with Spider-Man at all. Some people seem to dig it. I don't dig it at all. I think he's better fit for an X-Men book. He actually did some work on X-Men, Wolverine and the X-Men that I remember, and it wasn't bad. His Spider-Man art, though, hits me as like he just doesn't care. The faces are just funny. Peter ends up looking prettier than Mary Jane. It's just not good. This storyline was actually pretty good, though, but I couldn't get past the art. Had to do with Sandman from the future coming back to the past to try to take over Sandman, and then Sandman evolves, and he had to die to do it. It was a pretty good little tale. I don't know if I would quite put this as one of the best stories ever, but I guess you could make an argument for this one. Then you have If This Be My Destiny. This is the one where he ended up raising the pipes and stuff off of him. If you know this one, here's people's exposure to this. A lot of people are probably from the Homecoming movie. Was it Homecoming? Where he actually, gets the strength to pull himself out of the wreckage. This is a very iconic moment, actually. He finds the strength to get out of a situation. But of course, one of the few times they use a very old Spider-Man comic, and this is an old one, 31 through 33. I actually have these. They're not in great shape at all. But, they're cool to have. I have a goal of someday owning all 800 and something issues of Amazing Spider-Man. I've given up on ever owning Amazing Fantasy 15. I can't afford that comic ever. Maybe I'm prepared to spend $4,000 on one. I don't think it'll ever be that cheap. So that's never going to happen. But anyway, we come down here. Of course, before they can even touch up on why this is a great iconic moment, they have to say, older comics can contain a decent amount of casual misogyny. Peter will be going through his day, and then Betty Brant will say something, and Peter's basically think, ugh, women. It's of the time and very much reflective of who had the opportunity to write, edit, and create comics back then. In spite of it all, the era contains powerful stories. What does this have to do with how great that story is? Polygon. Polygon, am I right? Am I right? So anyway, this belongs on the list. This very iconic moment for Spider-Man, used several times in several renditions of him. I'm okay with that one. Then we come down to Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse is pretty good. Does it belong as one of the best absolute storylines of Spider-Man? I don't really think so. Though I did like Spider-Verse, I don't have too much of a problem with this one. We come down here. Ultimate Spider-Man, number 200. I actually like this one. This is, so I always think that Miles Morales I liked him better when he was in Ultimate Universe. He was his own Spider-Man. He wasn't in the shadow of Peter Parker. He's definitely in the shadow of Peter Parker right now in the main universe. He really is. He was better as his own man, his own character. And this is one of the few times I think that they actually tastefully transferred a mantle. I actually liked how they did it. I like how Peter went on as a hero. and this kid, in a sense, Peter Parker becomes Miles Morales' Uncle Ben, because Miles Morales did nothing to go help Peter Parker when he was wounded and fighting Green Goblin alone. He was by himself. Miles could have absolutely done something, and he didn't. And he goes here and he learns, kind of who Peter Parker was, and gets a lot of the he gets a lot of the lessons on like why he was a hero and how he inspires to be who he was. I think that that's a good pick. So I'm okay with that one. Even though you should pick, it should either be the best of Miles Morales or the best of Peter Parker. You shouldn't include both. They are two different characters. It's not Spider-Man, or Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man. There's one. But anyway, we go down here. They actually included Spidey, the digital book. I didn't read this. These new books shouldn't even be on here, in my opinion. Back in Black. This is actually a very good storyline. I agree with this one. This is after Civil War. He revealed his identity. So he put a black costume on, and he went and broke into a prison and kind of like told Kingpin what was what, because Kingpin put a hit out on Peter Parker, and ended up shooting Aunt May. So Aunt May was gonna, pass away, and he made the deal to lose his marriage, all that stupid stuff. But this is actually a pretty good storyline. I had him like doing whatever it take. They were like on the run and living in hotel rooms and stuff. Him, Aunt May, and Mary Jane. That was actually a pretty good run. I think J. Michael, I'm not even gonna try and brutalize his last name, did a really good run. A lot of people are really down on JMS's run, but I thought it was really good. They have another book by him on here, which I'll get to, which I absolutely agree with. Spider-Man, I don't agree with this at all. I think this is kind of just a gimmick run to get the two characters together. Was it good? Yeah, it was all right, but I don't think it belongs as one of the greatest Spider-Man stories all time. Here's one of the ones that really ticked me off. Marvel Team Up 2019. So this is him and Ms. Marvel together, and they switch bodies or something. It's really stupid. Why is this on here at all? Checkbox purposes. That's it. Oh, it's Freaky Friday with Miss Marvel and Spider-Man. No one's ever going to look back in 15 years and say, tell me an amazing Spider-Man run that you loved. Marvel Team Up 2019. No. This one is very good. The Conversation. Amazing Spider-Man 1999. Another JMS run. This is when Aunt May found out who Peter Parker was, like how he was Spider-Man. He was really beat down. This is after he had a fight with Morlun, and he's really beat down. Aunt May comes in and sees him kind of like beaten and bruised, and he's in the Spider-Man costume. She doesn't say anything, but then she does like confront him and say, I know who you are now. You were all beaten. Why didn't you tell me? And it was really cool. She came to his side, and she was like sending hate mail and emails to the Daily Bugle and telling him like, hey, maybe you're wrong about Spider-Man, and she goes and cancels her subscription and stuff. It was a pretty good little story. I really liked it. This is when you really got to see the human side of Peter Parker, and he was working at a high school as a science teacher and all kinds of stuff. Really great run that is really underrated in my opinion. I think a lot of people don't like that run, but I really enjoyed it. So that one's okay with. A Death in the Family, Peter Parker, Peter Parker Spider-Man. So this one, I don't know. I wouldn't call this one of the greatest, but I want you to notice something that's missing from here. Kraven's Last Hunt. Where's the hunt story? I think most people would agree that Kraven's Last Hunt is I think probably the greatest Spider-Man story ever told. Hands down. I know some people might disagree with that, but to me, that was an amazing story. Where is it? In fact, where's the showdown between the Green Goblin and Spider-Man and the death of Gwen Stacy? Where's that on here? You're going to tell me that Marvel Team Up Marvel Team Up and Spidey Volume 1 outrank those. This is how you know that somebody, that person that made this list did not know anything about Spider-Man. Who wrote this? Pieche Chaber. You are not a fan of Spider-Man. I don't believe you. I think you just looked up iconic moments, put them in there, made sure you grab some checkbox books like Marvel Team Up and say that those are the amazing stories. This is a garbage list. The fact that Kraven's Last Hunt isn't on here tells me that this is trash. A lot of stuff's missing from this list. Kraven's Last Hunt's missing. The final showdown with the Green Goblin. Really good stuff. As much as people hate the Clone Saga, I think some of the stuff with Dr. Octopus in the Clone Saga was really good. The Venom run, where Venom was stalking Peter and Mary Jane and really just ruining the guy's life. There's a lot of good Spider-Man stories. A lot of this list sucks. And as much as I liked the JMS run, I don't know if I would even call some of that the best ever. I think that you can make arguments for the JMS stuff, though. This is a good pick. But other than that, this is all like modern stuff, which I got to tell you, as a long-term Spider-Man fan, is complete trash compared to this old stuff. Like I said, you can tell this person doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. So anyway, fun little video. Had fun making it. Let me know what you think about these picks. How do you feel about them? And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.